gentlemen, this is Liam Turner of WGN Chicago, reporting live from the somber courtroom in the small town of Heavenly Hillsborough. We are awaiting a verdict in the highly controversial Hillsborough monkey trial case, a case that has captivated clergy and scientists alike. It is ultimately a case of religion versus science. The Honorable Judge Merle has just entered the packed courtroom and is making his way to the bench. In the next few minutes, our listeners, as well as the entire nation, will know whether Bertram Cates is found guilty or innocent. Reporting the unfolding events of the case that has captivated the nation is my colleague Brandon LaFrosia. Brandon, any comments on what is happening in the courtroom at this time?
Liam, I will say that this has turned out to be the trial of the century. I wish our listeners could have been here inside the courtroom as the trial has been progressing to witness the heated debate between the two greatest legal minds of our time, Matthew Harrison Brady, prosecuting attorney, and Henry Drummond, defense attorney for the accused Bert Cates.
What events transpired to bring such great men of law to the small, obscure town of Heavenly Hillsborough?
For those of our listeners who are not familiar with the legalities of this case, school teacher Bertram Cates read from Darwin's Theory of Evolution, a book considered to be illegal and held in utmost of contempt by the residents of Hillsborough.
The generous patrons of our affiliate, the widely read newspaper, the Baltimore Herald, decided to assist Mr. Cates in his legal battle by retaining the services of attorney Henry Drummond, one of the most agile legal minds of the 20th century. E.K. Hornbeck, the most brilliant reporter in America today, was also enlisted to cover the Hillsborough monkey trial.
As a mere spectator in the courtroom, I can attest to the intensity of Brady and Drummond's verbal attacks on one another, with Bert Cates' fiancée Rachel testifying for the prosecution and the judge's decision to eliminate the entire scientific team's testimony. It seemed impossible to make a dent in the jurors' decision.
Now, Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Brady suffer some kind of nervous breakdown while being cross-examined by defense attorney Drummond?
Indeed he did. Former presidential candidate and biblical scholar Matthew Brady was forced under oath to admit that the first day of creation may have been one of the undetermined length. He became unhinged after his literal interpretation of the events in the Bible were brought into conflict. He began ranting and raving about nonsensical matters pertaining to the books of the Holy Bible.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the defining moment that we've all been waiting for. The jury has just filed back into the courtroom, and the judge is about to read the most highly anticipated verdict in modern history.
The gentlemen of the jury have reached their decision. The jury's decision is unanimous. Bertram Cates has been found guilty as charged.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it live. You heard it first at WGN Chicago. Bert Cates has been found guilty. Cates, by the way, looked totally crestfallen as the verdict was being pronounced.
What an astounding case. The results will be felt by generations to come.
The judge is about to proceed with sentencing.
The prisoner will rise to hear the sentence. Bert Cates, I hereby sentence you to.
Your Honor, a question of procedure.
What's happening now?
It appears to be a matter of procedural misconduct.
Is it not customary in the state to allow the defendant to make a statement before the sentence is passed?
Colonel Drummond, I regret this omission. In the confusion and I neglected, Mr. Cates, if you wish to make any statement before your sentence is passed on you, you may now do so.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a WGN exclusive. You are about to hear Mr. Cates speak live on the air for the first time.
Your Honor, I am not a public speaker. I do not have the eloquence of some people, if you've heard in the last few days. I'm just a school teacher. I was a school teacher. I have been convicted of violating an unjust law. I will continue to, in the future, as I have done in the past, to oppose this law in any ways I can.
There you have it. A speech by defendant Bert Cates. Now we are moving on to the sentencing phase of the trial.
Bertram Cates, this court has found you guilty of violating Public Act Volume 37, Statute Number 31428, as charged. This violation is punishable by fine and/or imprisonment. But since there has been no previous violation of the statute, there's been no precedent to guide the bench in passing sentence. The court deemed it proper to sentence Bertram Cates to pay a fine of $100.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it live. You heard it first. Bert Cates has been sentenced to pay a fine of $100. I can tell you that the courtroom seems to be in an uproar over the judge's sentencing. It looks as though Henry Drummond has more to say.
Just a minute, just a minute. The amount of this fine is of no concern to me. Bertram Cates has no intention whatsoever of paying this or any other fine. You would not pay if it was a single dollar. We will appeal this decision to the Supreme Court of this state. Will the court grant 30 days to prepare our appeal?
Isn't that something? It sounds as though the defensive attorney, Henry Drummond, plans to take this issue all the way to the Supreme Court. We can only wonder what will happen next. And, excuse me, Mr. Brady, what are you doing?
And we are all very anxious to hear them, sir. But Colonel Drummond's point of procedure is very well taken. I am sure everyone here will wish to remain after the court is adjourned to hear your address. I hereby declare this court is adjourned, signed D.
My dear friends, your attention, please. Fellow citizens and friends, give me this mic. Friends of the unseen audience, from the hallowed hills of sacred Sinai, in the days of remote antiquity, came the law which has been our bulwark and our shield, age upon age. Men have looked to the law as they would look to the mountains, whence cometh our strong here in this.
Mr. Colonel Brady, would you point more in the direction of the enunciator?
As they would look to the mountains, whence cometh our strength, and here in this courtroom, we have seen vindicated.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, our program director out of Chicago has advised us that our time on the air has come to an end. This is Brendan LaFrocia and Liam Turner, signing off from WGN Chicago. We now bring you your regularly scheduled program.
What just happened? Brady! Brady! Someone call an ambulance! Brady's collapsed!
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just witnessed a turn of events in the Hillsborough monkey trial case. Matthew Harrison Brady, religious orator, has collapsed. He is being carried out of the courtroom by several of the spectators. As we wait for an update on his medical status, please enjoy this commercial from our sponsors.
Fatality.
Mike, you gotta try this.
What is it?
It's Coke.
Yeah! Yeah!
Coca-Cola. It's to die for.
William Turner and Brendan LaFrocia as co-hosts. Mike Racanelli is Brady. Christian McDaniels is Drummond. Joe Borko is cameraman. Joe Gallo is the judge. God bless.